Man, I am gonna set you guys straight today, and some of you might like it and other ones will be offended, but it's gonna be like just a tour de force of debunking the bullshit of like the culty side of real estate investing and then replacing it. So tearing that out of your brain and then replacing it with a more executive approach to real estate investing, a business owner's approach, a scalable approach where someone actually goes and makes money investing in real estate, not a little bit of passive income. Fuck passive income. Let's open up this live with fuck passive income. I can't name it that because Instagram will suppress it, but I want you to embody that mindset. Passive income is a small piece of the puzzle. It's the piece that you retire off way down the road once you grow into it, and not the part that you rely on today. Let's start it there. And what better message to open with before I pour my aptly renamed hipsters tears into, I didn't like the original name, Writer's Tears. It was a great bottle that a client sent me. Thanks, Dave. But it did need some edits, so I gave him those edits. These guys don't pay me. They don't send me free whiskey either. We should do something about that, right? They should be sending me some good stuff. Ooh, is that a little heavy? That's not a little heavy, is it? 2 bites of my tri-tip salad should soak that up because I was taking notes for this live here. Trying something new today, by the way. The dark room. What do you think? Do I look like really shiny and 12 years old? I feel like I look like I'm 6 right now in this light. Like I'm in a school picture or something like that, especially with my bright red shirt. Cheers, y'all. I wonder if anyone's drinking a whiskey with me. This has been an interesting week. I think Instagram, Marky Z is suppressing me and everyone else out there with these new content restriction rules or limit sensitive content. Apparently, some people are sensitive about making money, some people are sensitive about not making enough money, some people are sensitive about this whole COVID eviction moratorium stuff. So yeah, all this stuff is getting suppressed. Thank you guys for showing up to the live anyways. It's 230 of you. Look, I'm gonna give you 8 tips today. Really 8 concepts that I want you to take with you. I can't give you an 8-step program to get you rich in real estate. But what I can give you is the framework that we've used, the philosophies that I've kind of learned before we got into business that we made sure to apply in business to go from hey, let's just buy rentals and maybe one day live off them and go do some bigger stuff with the extra time, to let's get the fuck out of the working world and into owning and investing in and trading in rental property to make a high revenue, because income is the solution to your problems early on. Passive income is the solution to your retirement, right? Solution to your problems today is making a shit ton of money. It doesn't matter if it's active or passive. And one thing I want you guys to get in your brain, I opened this up. What are the first words I said when I turned this thing on, right? The first thing I said, for those of you that just joined, is what the fuck are real estate investors thinking? Why? Because they're so busy chasing after 30, 40, 50,000 a year, one day of passive income, that they're turning down millions of dollars of opportunity by doing nothing too different from what they're doing now, right? Burr method is a culprit of that. The noob movement in real estate is a culprit of that. And there are a lot of other things that are culprit of that. I mean, one is investing has gotten trendy. When it gets trendy, it gets culty, right? And if you guys ever been to a CrossFit gym, real estate investing is a lot like a CrossFit gym, where there's a couple people in there that are in really good shape, but they're probably off in the corner, not really fucking with anybody else. They don't want to talk to you. They're handling their business. They're kind of riding solo, right? And then the rest of the people just kind of like do burpees and drink beers and eat like paleo, like pudding or whatever the fuck it is, ice cream bars, and never really get in shape. They're never really strong. They're never really fast. They never really look the way they want to, but they're part of the club and part of the movement. That's what real estate investing has really kind of become. So if you want to be one of those few that are in the corner, you got to kind of push that culty movement away. The other thing is, because it's so trendy, people aren't in it for the goal. They're in it to be involved, right? So it's small thinking. People aren't going in there saying, I need to make $1 million a year. So we'll talk about goals, but a big part of the problem is a lot of you guys are getting into investing in real estate hoping to get to $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 a year. Maybe one day my dream freedom number is 5K or 10K of passive a month. That's too small for a one-day dream goal. That's the biggest problem with real estate. It's too passive driven. If you got time and effort to put in, you should be saying, instead of, hey, no effort for 10K a month in passive, how can I put in effort, a thing that I have an excess of, a surplus of effort to give, and resources and time and energy. Instead of getting 10K passive with no effort, how can I put in all my effort and get $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, whatever it is, right? Why not use your resources? I mean, like, why limit yourself in exchange for work? Especially when you aren't really having an issue with working, unless you want to live the van life. If you want to live the van life, you probably don't already follow me, right? If you're here, you're not in your van right now. There's a strong probability you're not in a van watching this live if you're one of the 250 people that's logged in right now. The next issue is it's dated. The real estate investing industry is dated. It is so handshake, see the property, everything done the old school way, and it's also blue collar. It's a blue collar business. A lot of people get in mom and pop style, fix it themselves, manage it themselves. Business owners are not blue collar. Business employees are white collar, right? Professionals, well-paid professionals tend to be called white collar employees. Who are the people that hire them? Not blue collar employees. So if you're fixing toilets, you're in the wrong space to go make the big money. You're not getting there. And nothing that you're doing today to save a buck or have a little more control is actually helping you get there tomorrow. No matter how much you tell yourself that you need that to do that today to get there tomorrow, you need to rip the fucking Band-Aid off, right? So what the hell are you guys thinking? Chasing after a couple $1,000 a month, couple $100 a month in many cases, and a lot of you, zero cash flow in hopes of one day having cash flow, zero cash flow because I bird the property. Go get after it. Here's your framework for a 7-figure a year. These are the principles that we use to make a lot of income, real money every year. And guess what you could do with a lot of income every year? You could buy a shit ton of property. We've bought 56 units, all cash, in the past 10 months. Oh, actually, it's been 12. It's been 12. All cash. All cash. We refied one of them for $400,000 back. Still have a lot of spare cash to spend. And it's because of business income that we were able to do that. Create a scenario where you have money to spend on passive, because investments are things that you buy when you have extra cash that you don't need. Not things that you buy to go and try to get rich, right? People that have a lot of money will always tell you they made their money this way, then they invested it. That's always the fucking story. But if you don't hear the story enough and you're too busy in the Bigger Pockets forums, or you're too busy watching TikToks or whatever it is, you don't have that like idea ingrained into your head, right? So let's get straight to it. 8 tips. And before we do, real quick, the industry has room for people who treat it like a business. It's saturated with people that don't. All you've got to do is be better. All you've got to do is be different. And since there aren't too many people in this space that treat it like something that's other than a contractor's gig, right? A mom and pop job, a service provider's job. If you are that executive, if you have that scale mindset, that revenue mindset, you've already stood aside from the pack. Already. Automatic. Number 1, the first tip I got for you. This is the cheesy one, so I'm getting it out of the way. It's your goals. It's your goals. It's silly, but it's extremely true. If you step into this space and say, I want to make, by the time I'm 60, $10K a month, that is the absolute most that you will get. That's the absolute most that you'll get. And by the way, if you're 30, that's 30 years to get to 10K a month. Not a ambitious goal by any measure, right? Like, I'm not here to like piss and shit on your goals, right? But you're selling yourself short if you're putting in all this effort to learn. If you're sitting watching this live, dude, you're supposed to be working right now, right? So if you're taking time off to watch this live, and maybe your boss is still paying you and they just don't know, right? You are already committed to a degree that deserves you, that should earn you more than 10K a month 30 years from now. So the goal needs to be high. If you set that target to, I need to make $1 million a year investing in real estate within 5 years, and then commit yourself to building infrastructure that points towards that goal, you have a much higher chance of modeling your behavior in a manner that targets that success, that could actually achieve that success, right? But the shit goals come with shit behaviors. So get the shit goals out of there. Shoot high if that's what you really would want. And don't make excuses for yourself. God, I'm so sick of people going, I don't need that much money. Come on, is that really what you mean? Or are you just saying that so that you don't have to confront the fact that it will force you to get out of your comfort zone, learn more, become a different person, and be challenged in order to make that money? Is that why you don't have that big goal? Or is it really because you just want 10K 30 years from now, and until then, that's all? All right, so ask yourself that with honesty. And look, you can keep your answer to yourself. You don't gotta tell me. You don't have to admit you're wrong, right? Or admit how you really feel. But tell yourself, and don't tell anybody else, and then come back and admit it 3, 4, 5 years from now when you actually go and get this result that you never thought you would have gotten. Shoot me a DM in 5 years and go, hey man, I totally was stuck to my limiting beliefs, but now I got it, so I'm not ashamed of it anymore. So get your goals right, guys. It changes things. In COVID, we were impacted for like 2 months. And Mike and I were like, you know what? We don't need to make more than $1 million a year net in this business. I'm being very honest with you. I'm being too transparent with you. And then we started seeing opportunity come in the door, and we're like, holy shit, what were we thinking? We were just scared that we would fail. And then we pushed the target up to 5, and we're pretty close to hitting that this year. We'll hit it next, just because our mindset shifted, right? Everything else followed. It trailed right behind. So that's your foundation, is your goals. Number 2, revenue. You need revenue. A business needs to bring money in the door, as much money in the door as it can. Not the most passive money in the door that it can, the most money in the door that it can. Who gives a fuck how active or passive it is? The goal is the high number, a lot of it. Sales, revenue, income. This is exactly the problem with the Burr method. You put in all the work of a flipper, a business owner, to find an off-market deal at a deep discount for market value, then fix it up, add the value, place the tenant, all just to get your initial investment back with no realized margin of profit? What the are people thinking? You need revenue. Why? Because if in 3 months you could take a 100K property and make it worth 150, you just got a 50% ROI in 3 months on that $100,000. Why wouldn't you want all 150 back to go get another 50% ROI in another 3 months, which would be a $75,000 profit? Why would you only take 10% cash flow instead and just get your seed fund back? Wouldn't you want to make that 50% ROI on the additional 50 of equity that you forced? Doesn't that make financial sense? Of course it makes financial sense, guys, but it requires you to think like a business owner, so no one does it. It's the cult movement, right? It's the burpees. The Burr method is the burpees, and then there's the guys in the corner going over there, the chicks in the corner going there squatting 4 plates. They're getting it. They're getting it. So revenue first. Forget passive. You want to think, hey, let me chase the highest form of income that the level of activity that I could put into my business could provide me. That's number 1 with revenue. Number 2 is time. Look, you need to be able to get your money fast. Now. Side hustles don't work. Side hustles don't work. If it's a side hustle, it's one of 2 things. It's destined to be your full-time hustle and is worthy, or it's unworthy of being your full-time hustle, so you keep it on the side. Now tell me this, if it's unworthy of being your full-time hustle, so you keep it on the side, why even do it? If you have a job that pays you $100,000 a year, then you have let's say, I don't know, $50 an hour, right? And then you have a side hustle that earns you $30 an hour. Why the hell are you working for $30 an hour after you worked for $50 an hour? Can you tell me that? Take that side hustle, dump it, or convert it into a full-time hustle that earns you a lot more today than you would normally earn from your other activities or from your passive activities, right? So get your money, get your revenue now. Don't wait to get your revenue if you want to grow this thing. The next thing is your business model. We talked about Burr versus flipping, right? Like, this is something that really happened to Mike and I. We bought a $25,000 house in Hammond, Indiana in 2016, August. Spent a while fixing it up, put some tenants in there. It was worth 75 after we fixed it up. We were all in for like 51 or 52. Worth 75, renting for $950 a month for this little 2-bedroom, rented super quick. Good cash flow, right? Never got the loan on it. We were gonna, and then we realized we'd cash flow $200 or $300 a month net after reserves. Bought 3 more houses from direct mail at deep discounts from market value, and they needed work, so they weren't that deep of a discount. Maybe we bought them at like 7, 8, 10K discounts from market or something like that each in their as-is condition. And at some point ran out of money and went, why the hell are we trying to collect cash flow on these? Just sell them. So if you want to generate revenue today, you should kill the idea of tax breaks to this stunt lending, which really allows you to grow. You're absolutely true. Tax breaks are for extra money that you don't need, right? Because if you need it, you'd spend it on business expenses and the business would grow with that money and then you wouldn't pay taxes on it, right? So that's kind of a silly concept, the idea of tax breaks before you have too much money. Worry about taxes when you have too much money. But the business model is everything. If you're trying to get free, if you're trying to make as much money as possible, stop keeping properties. Sell them. unless you have a model where you put together a lot of investor funds, acquire big properties, reposition them, and then collect management fees and acquisition fees. Then upon the exit, you collect a big equity stake and it pays you to go chase that next project. Then I guess keep properties, but that's very different than what most real estate investors are doing, right? So business model matters. That's revenue. So one's goals, two is revenue, right? And we'll go over all 8 again real quick at the end. Number 3, scalability. You have to understand what scalability is and how to pursue it. And your business model has to have scalability built into it, right? You have to have like inherent scalability. It's almost like you drop the model onto the track and it just fucking goes by itself. That's scalability. How do you make it go by itself? You got to remove the limits. The way I like to understand scalability is by understanding the limits to scalability and then removing them from your business. The number 1 limit to scalability is going to be money. Your business has to be scalable from the beginning. If your business cannot grow without requiring an excess of funds, an initial input, or consistent input over time, then you have a business that has significant barriers to scalability. You need to be able to put money in, get significant profits at high margins out, and then be able to reinvest those profits back into the business to get even bigger margins back out of it, right? The money has to continue to flip itself at a high rate of growth. If you're thinking exponential growth, you want that exponent factor to be the highest factor possible, right? You want a really high interest rate on your money. And you don't want a business that requires a lot of money to get in, or a lot of money to be profitable, or a lot of money invested over time before you're profitable. So that's a big piece of scalability is money. The next big limiting factor is going to be time. You want a business that doesn't take a very long time before it starts spitting out profits. You also want a business that takes the least amount of your time possible to spit out the maximum amount of profits. If you're not there for 20 hours a day and your business doesn't spit out profits because you're not killing yourself, hustling Gary Vee style, I work 20 hours a day. Look, I worked my ass off for this thing, but it took off quick, made a lot of money right out of the gates, and then made a lot more money right after that without me having to work much harder, right? It was short-lived. But if you have to work 20 hours a day in your business to keep it breaking even or just like floating and paying you, wrong business. Wrong business, wrong model. It shouldn't need that much time to scale. Time's just like money, it's a resource, right? And then you've got other resources as well. Customers. You want a business that's modeled so that it has an abundance of customers available to you. That's going to make it inherently scalable. If you have a limited amount of customers, not a scalable business. If you have a limited amount of product or production, right? I don't like producing things, right? Which is why I just do real estate, find properties that already exist, and then go ahead and sell them. If you don't have enough product, your business won't scale. If you have operational limitations like service providers, your business won't scale. You get into it, if you want to make your market that you're generating this real estate business in, and you have this massive revenue goal, and you've got one property manager in the whole city, I'm sorry, you're SOL, dude. You need an abundance of service providers so that you don't have so much power in one supplier's hand. And if it doesn't work out, you have many others available so that you can continue to grow, right? That's scalability for you. We can go deep into it. There's one more thing too. You need high margins. You need high margins. If your business, look, you can't be Amazon that has a 10% margin of profit on hundreds of billions of dollars, right? So a 10% margin sounds pretty fucking good when you're talking like 3 numbers than a B, but before it, the deal calculators make pretty good money. You'd be surprised. More money than I've ever made at a job. A good amount more. If your business doesn't spit out big margins at the beginning, there's something wrong with it because the margins feed it, right? The profits feed it. So if you're just making a little bit of profit, if it's thin, then you have no margin of error. That's why it's called a margin of profit, right? A big margin of profit is essentially a big margin of error. You need that up front so you can afford to fuck it up because you're not going to be perfect in the beginning. Develop it while you're still making money. You need to be able to fix your business and fine tune it, but not have to wait for it to be fixed and perfect before you're actually printing, making money hand over fist. It's gotta be hand over fist, guys. It's gotta feel unfair almost, right? For it to be a viable business model. And then you can really afford to take care of your customers and do good things because you have extra padding, basically, to go and float that customer if you fucked up. And then they come back and keep buying, you build a good reputation. So margins are important to scalability. The next thing is, and let me breathe, guys. I'm going like fast because I'm trying to get this all out and it gets me pumped up, right? because I love business more than I love real estate. Real estate's just the flavor of my business and what I do with the extra money. So the next bit is innovation. And I don't mean, look, a lot of people get innovation wrong. In fact, a lot of people have the wrong relationship with their idea of entrepreneurship. We, as mom and pop entrepreneurs, will often get stuck in the trap of looking at Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. That is not our model for real entrepreneurship as most of the world sees it. Now, we could take things from them, right? But we don't have to invent the next Amazon or invent the electric car to be innovators in our business. Innovation comes from a couple different things. It's improvements, really, in the way we do things or the way we pursue things that make us better than the rest of the space. I love product innovation. Product innovation is extremely important. It's pursuing a product that other people aren't, but the space has a demand for it. And that's kind of the markets that we found, right? Northwest Indiana back in the day. Nobody knew about it. Everyone hated it from Chicago. Out-of-state investors didn't know about it because it was tucked away. They thought it was part of Chicago. Very different environment though, right? California investors and all the out-of-state investors that were dying for properties, they needed high cash flow properties with rent growth and strong landlord-tenant laws. So the product innovation was pursuing a particular market that was unpopular for the wrong reasons or just unknown, and then pursuing maybe a particular product. Like, we're wholesalers, but we wholesale turnkey properties. We don't wholesale distressed properties at all. Wholesalers don't chase after turnkey properties usually, right? Because they can't sell them for cheap because they're pursuing the wrong kind of investors. So that gives you an idea. Product innovation allows you to be different and operate without competition. That's what innovation really does, right? It allows you to get free from the competition for a second, because if you can shake the competition off you, right? You get their hands off you, then you've got, for a limited amount of time until they find you again, a land grab. You're the only one and you're harvesting, right? So product innovation, any form of innovation gets you that land grab, gets you into land grab mode. It's like, remember like in video games where you're Mario and you fucking hit the block and then you get that special mushroom and you're invincible, so you're just running through fucking fireballs and Koopas and all kinds of shit. That's what that little slice of innovation gets you. It gets you freedom for a second to go and just scoop up whatever you can. Product innovation is key. Customer innovation is key. You have an existing product or service that the rest of the industry has as well, but you're able to pursue a different, or point it towards a different consumer or audience, buyer, customer, tenant, whatever it might be, that the rest of the industry who has this product at their fingertips isn't pointing it towards currently, right? So that alternative gets you that super mushroom, right? The next thing is process innovation. Nobody bothers with this. Nobody bothers with this, right? They just do things the way everyone else does. But guess what? If every other wholesaler is fucking spitting on their hand, shaking hands, going and seeing the property every time, and I can just create a system where I can pick up the phone and make someone an offer so we can go through these 1,000,000 times faster than the person that's out there, you've got an innovative process, and therefore you don't have to compete with these other people who are all up in somebody else's house, because you're getting through the numbers faster than they are, right? More efficiently, you're able to make offers without limitations. You don't have to have the person set a meeting with you. That's one example, but there are many process innovations out there that allow you to get things done differently. I get my investors from fucking TikTok and Instagram, from Reels, a lot of them, 20 to 30 new investors a day with at least 100K to spend. And that's process innovation. Not doing this the old way. I'm not going to RIA meetings, guys. I can't tell you the last time I've been to a RIA meeting, even before COVID. I went to a RIA meeting once and I was like, fuck is this, dude? That was the CrossFit gym metaphor, right? Everyone's over there eating pizza and chilling and talking about how they're gonna get their first hard money loan for their flip. Like, I don't wanna fucking talk to these guys. Get me out of here, man. Put me in front of someone that I want to talk to in a highly targeted environment. So let me change the process. And you know what? I used Bigger Pockets for a while. It was too slow. The social media was literally me going, I'm sick of these platforms that are out there to be able to get investors and put myself in front of them and share my product and my message. It's bullshit. It's not worth my time. Let me go create my own goddamn platform. That was a process innovation. Yours could be 1,000,000 different things in your space, but it gets you free. Just consider your processes when you're building your business model and how they give you advantages competitors don't have. Because it's all about, there is no competition when you don't have to encounter them, right? That's it. Technology is the next bit. And I don't want to go super deep in this. I'm not a big tech guy, but look, the real estate industry is so deficient in its use of technology. I think these guys cranked down the AC again. It's like hot as shit in here, or I'm just getting hyped. I don't know if you guys remember last time they were messing with the AC, but I got sweaty. You can see me shining. Technology doesn't get used in real estate. It's just starting to get used on like the retail side where they have like 3D walkthroughs, and it was really all thanks to COVID, right? But on the investment property side, there's not a lot of technology. Deals don't happen over the phone. They still happen in person a lot. There's still a lack of DocuSign out there, if you could believe that. There still aren't 3D inspections. People's property managers still don't send them video and photo and use online portals. If you can find spaces with deficiencies in technology and then apply them, you have a major competitive advantage. Now, here's the thing. When you're the first one to the party, you got to call in the keg and invite all the chicks and the homies and whatever, or the dudes, whatever, whoever you want to invite, right? If you're the last one to the party, everyone's already there, but they don't give a fuck about you. You're the first one there. You have the burden of, I'm not doing a shirtless live. Do not suggest that ever again. If you're the first one to the party, you got to be the one that campaigns to explain to everyone why they want to be there with you. Same with technology, right? You are going to face barriers with everyone you work with in the industry who has not yet adopted your methods. And you're going to have to pitch them on it and sell them on it. But the advantage is, once you do sell them on it, no one else is, right? So you really want to use the technology to your advantage. It also reduces the amount of human effort. So if you can eliminate human effort as much as possible without reducing effectiveness or conversion rate, right? Or the amount of information gathered isn't altered. If you can still meet that level of quality, the standard of your business's operations without having to do so much person, right? Then you have a major advantage. And actually let's take that into delegation, which is number 6, right? 5 is technology, 4 was innovation, 6 is delegation. How do you hand stuff off? Look, if you are fixing toilets, if you are painting walls, if you are self-managing property, you are toast. You're toast. I don't care if you have 50 units, you're still toast. Unless you have a business where your business self-manages the property. But get the hell out of here. Yeah, I say human without an H, right? I always get flack for it. I just blame it on being an immigrant. Human effort. Do you want me to enunciate the H for you guys? Delegation's key, and it starts with your processes. It starts with your processes. You want to improve your processes to be as effective as possible, right? Effective and efficient. We'll talk about efficiency in a little bit. Actually, let's just talk about it now. Effective means your processes work really well at a high rate, right? Their success rate is high. Efficiency is your processes take less work. When your processes take less work and they are effective, they convert at a high rate, or they're successful at a high rate, then it becomes easier to delegate a process to a person other than yourself and them still be successful too, right? That is extremely important. If you give someone a difficult process and run them at their limit, then you are, oh, you gotta go unclog your toilet, huh? Damn, is it yours? If you're pushing people at their limit, you're gonna be a shitty delegator. That's why a lot of people are bad delegators. They get burned. They go, I hired out, I had this whole team, I had like 10 people working for me, and it just sucked. We were just bleeding money left and right. It's because your process was inefficient, because you didn't really need 10 people. And your people sucked because you didn't give them a process that actually boosted their chances of success. So improve the process first, then get the people. Process people win when they hand it off, right? People that just hand off like shit messes have unhappy employees that aren't paid well probably, because you're not winning enough to pay them well, to afford to pay them well, and they don't make you money. Man, that's like triple L's. So good processes, efficient and effective processes. The next thing is you want to overload systems to increase or to lower the skill threshold of your employee. Here's an example. I've got someone here that works with my investors. That's a piece of my business that I cherish and I'm very possessive over, and I'm careful not to. I was very, very careful about handing that off. Didn't want to give that away because the voice of our business is me on this social media platform, then transferring it to another person. I wanted to make sure our investors were taken care of. Now, they are going to get a different experience working with someone that didn't create the business. And that's okay if we can still have the process be effective and good and they can still access me. So improved accessibility by being able to interact with them on social media. I engage with my investors every day because they came from this platform, and then I speak to them through this platform. And when I talk about things daily that they're willing or that they're going to encounter when they buy properties from us, right? So that parasocial relationship still gives them what they need from me to some degree. And then overloading the amount of investors that see properties from us stacks the process in the favor of my account manager so that she gets 50 offers per property, so she doesn't have to be the most skilled salesperson in the world to close the one person or 5 people that make an offer, because we've got 50 people that want the property, right? And some of those 50 people are prepared to buy without her guidance or my guidance, or without deep level of guidance from us, right? So overstacking the process, oversaturating the process. If you guys are from like chemical backgrounds, right? If anyone has taken a chemistry class or a biochem class, if you have, let's say a chemical reaction that you want to occur, right? You got chemical A and chemical B, and if they find each other in a pool, right? In a beaker or whatever it is, the reaction occurs. If you have one of chemical A and one of chemical B, it's going to take a while for that reaction to happen. If you have one of chemical A and 100,000 of chemical B, then that reaction is going to happen this fast because it's a saturated system, right? The equilibrium is going to push that reaction into occurrence. The probability increases, the amount of time decreases, it happens instantly, and the conversion rate's really high. I'm a total nerd, but that's the best metaphor I can give you guys. You want to saturate processes in the favor of conversion for your business so that you can delegate easily and these people will succeed. The next thing is you want to shrink the process so you have fewer people, right? You have a big, messy process. Think about all these steps you could eliminate by implementing better procedures, getting more investors so you don't have to get on sales calls with every single one of them all the time, right? What else can you do? Technology in place. Shrink the process so that you don't have to get 5 people to do your one job. You get one person and they do your one job. And do that before you hire the person, right? Have a plan in mind. The last bit of delegation is, it kind of feeds on the other things. When you have fewer people, you're likely to, one, make a higher margin of profit if you built the business right. If you can condense the work into fewer people. Higher margin of profit, you can pay people more, you can get more skilled people, and you can invest in developing them over time, and it'll have a high ROI for your business, and you will be able to retain them as well. Key to delegating, guys, is to be able to make it so that it's too easy for them to succeed, and that it's too easy for them to make you more money than you pay them, so that you can afford to continue to pay them well and keep them, and they can learn and reach that 2 or 3 year point with your business where they can start to bring tremendous value of their own without you having to create the value for them. That's extremely important. Number 7, we're getting towards the end here. Number 7 is interesting. You got to reach outside the industry. I have never been to one, look how the lighting changes when I step in front of or outside the door. I have never been to one real estate mastermind, and I will never. And I've been invited to speak at several. What's that big summit that they have in Salt Lake City all the time? I forgot what it was. I've been invited by several people who sponsor the group to go speak at those masterminds. I will not participate in them. I will not go around a bunch of other real estate investors. Why? Because they're confined to what is known and what makes people successful in the real estate investment space. I don't give a fuck about this space, right? Unless I'm talking to like people that have billions of dollars worth of property, I don't give a shit, or like $500 million or whatever it is. Show me industries outside of real estate that are more advanced, that are using methods that have not yet been adopted in this older space, and let me hijack what they have done to be successful and innovate and be different today, and place it in this fucking dinosaur of a business that is real estate. That's what I want to see, right? I want to talk to, when I want to talk to business owners, I don't want to talk to real estate people. I want to talk to business owners in completely different spaces that are making $50, $100 million a year and see what they're up to there that I can steal and bring over here, because I know I'll be one of the very few people doing it, right? So reach outside of the industry, adopt methods from different industries, and you'll be successful in this place. The last bit is, and there's going to be a million examples of this. I can only give you one from personal experience. I can give you a lot, but I'll give you one from personal experience. It's not neglecting the future. This is number 8. Don't neglect the future value of today's behaviors. A lot of people are short-sighted when it comes to like money-making behaviors, especially when it comes to like investment behaviors too, right? Or business behaviors. They do what makes them money today. You want to do what makes you money today and that has a high potential of making you more money tomorrow. Future value is a big consideration. Are you experimenting with your business? Are you creating things that are not necessarily profitable, that suck up some of your time, that could be very profitable? And one example was this social media thing, right? I started Instagram 2 years ago. September of 2019, I started posting. Crazy, it's been 2 years already. I didn't have any followers. I was literally going to Bigger Pockets posts and then following like 50 people an hour for like 3 or 4 different hours a day, hoping to get like 20% to follow me back to get engagement and just using hashtags, right? And then I started doing videos, I started doing TikTok, and guess what? I had to pay for advertising to get investors on social media before. I would get like 3 or 4 investor opt-ins a day, and not even one of them would have the financial requirements we needed. You might have 1 or 2 investors a week that had 50,000 to spend or more. Now, 2 years in the future, and by the way, we made no money on Instagram at first, right? Now, 2 years in the future, social media makes us, if you were to take the last trailing 30 days of income and expand it over 12 months, and the last 60 days even, or last 90 days, it's been consistent, it's growing. We'd make $500,000 a year in just digital revenue from social media platforms, and it's gonna keep growing. It'll hit $1 million by the beginning of 2022, for sure. And that's not counting the value of the investors it brings to us. We now get, with a button on our link in bio that says, you must have 100K to join our investor list, join here. We get 20 to 30 investors joining our investor list with a minimum of $100,000 to spend. And you know what? Maybe one of them is someone we want to actually end up working with. The top of the top, the best, just the perfect fit for us. They love the product, they love the process, whatever it is. But it generates, without advertising dollars, an infinite pool of investors to meet our needs, our demand needs. And that's going to have a bigger future value than it seems too, right? So I mean, the start of this was like 1 investor a week to buy our properties. Now we got a bunch of investors to buy our properties, but what about the future syndications and funds that we raise to chase down $20, $30 million properties multiple times a year? That's probably gonna happen next year, right? That is all riding on those first couple posts where the mindset was, this isn't doing shit today. Some of our old employees who are no longer here were like, why are you spending so much time making TikToks? These TikTok opt-ins suck. These investors suck. Is there any way to filter them out? This is pointless. We got other stuff to do. Social media has made this business an 8-figure business. It really has. And it had 0 value when it started. Guys, invest in projects that will take your business somewhere very different tomorrow. But you gotta have the vision of what you want from it so that it has that like micro metric of success where you go, you know what? The engagement on these posts, the opt-ins, the people that have money, the valuable conversations I'm having, the value that I'm giving out, all these things show me that the success is really happening. It just hasn't been monetized yet, right? So don't forget to invest in future success. Don't be the person whose behaviors are purely driven by today's dollars, because then you'll never get a raise. You'll never earn more. Your earnings today are too low. That is the mindset that you have to have. The money you make today is not enough, and then use it to alter your behaviors to chasing a dollar amount that is more substantial, right? And I think you'll find yourself doing different things in your business or in your pursuit of your business. That's all I've got for you. I mean, these concepts should take you to 7 figures a year if you apply them over the course of multiple years. How long did it take, in full transparency, how long did it take for me to make a net 7 figures in a year? The first time it happened, net, as a 50% partner in this business, was last year. And it progressed to that point. It wasn't like $0.000 million bucks, right? First time it happened was last year, 2020. Quit my job in the end of 2017. 2018 was the first full year in business. 2019 was the second full year in business. 2020 was the third. 3 years of these principles, 7 figures of net income. Not saying it's going to be easy for you guys. Not saying there isn't a lot more that went into it, effort and learning and business principles and resources, whatever it might be. Not saying every business model can achieve this, but many can achieve much more. It didn't take long for the right principles to yield a lot of money. A lot of money, and a continuously growing amount of income as well. It's not done here. So use that shit. I posted this in a story. These summary notes. You can go ahead and screenshot that. Keep it if you could read my shitty shorthand handwriting, because I didn't write it thinking of you guys. I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize I was gonna post it in a story. I'll go over all 8 again real quick. I'll take a breath, have some whiskey, and I will take some questions. Number 1. So eight pro tips to get to that 7-figure year, right? Number 1 is the goals. Number 2 is focusing on revenue, high revenue. Number 3 is scalability, building it into your model. Number 4 is innovation, process, product, and customer. Don't think invention. Number 5 is the use of technology where it's not currently being implemented. Number 6 is going to be delegation and doing it effectively. Number 7 is reaching outside of your current industry to steal better ideas and implement them. That's the easiest route to innovation. Number 8 is the future value of today's behaviors. That's it. I'm fucking toast, guys. That was a lot. I can't wait to answer your questions for 20 minutes and then eat the hell out of this tri-tip salad. It's actually pretty good looking right now. Look at that bad boy, man. There's a lot of tri-tip on that sucker. Some chunks too, not little slices. I hate when they give these little like slices. Give me just a cube, just a meat cube in my salad, a bunch of them. And give me some whiskey too. What happens if all the property managers in the area suck? Pittsburgh is filled with them. You gotta find a better one, man. You gotta find a better one. And they definitely don't all suck in Pittsburgh, but if they really did, go somewhere else. You got a whole country at your fingertips, right? Like, the beautiful thing about taking this model virtual that you see in front of you is we could be in any state and like we can enter within a matter of a week. That's it. It takes a while for leads to start to come in. It takes like another month, and then it may take longer for the higher quality leads to come in. But we got into Louisville, Kentucky last June, maybe March, maybe last March, like right around the pandemic, so when we started marketing. In November, we closed on a $1.2 million property. We got it for $700,000. And you guys know the story about that property. I won't go into the details. So fast turnaround when you chase after multiple markets and you just go after the low-hanging fruit, right? You don't need to be stuck in Pittsburgh, man. Do you suggest getting into stocks? For one reason, and it's hard to say what stocks, right? I don't like volatility. It's just not my profile. I'm not looking to hypergrow through stocks because I have hypergrowth in my business and I have an investing strategy that gets me discounted assets. But there's one reason I like stocks, and that is money in a brokerage account is seen as liquidity by the bank, right? So that way you're not keeping cash in the bank, but you're not also shorting yourself on liquidity and hurting your chances of qualifying for a loan. So I've got, to be quite transparent with you, $300,000 in a brokerage account. That's it. I'm not adding to it. I have not added to it since the beginning of the year. I've been very light. I think I started buying during the pandemic. I'm in for like 170, so I'm up a pretty good amount, and they're all dividend yielding stocks with not a lot of downside, and they're not pumped either. They still have more upside if markets were to correct to like pre-pandemic levels at some point for some of these distressed assets. So that's enough for me to go to a bank and say, hey, I've got cash in a business account. I've always paid off properties. I've also got this extra $300K now. If at some point I need more liquidity than that, I'll keep adding more. I'll dump more into a brokerage account. If the market gets softer, I would be buying more. So that is a benefit of having a nice hefty brokerage account. Banks see it as a cash equivalent. So useful for qualification. Can someone build a business buying properties exclusively from me? No, they cannot. It is a passive endeavor. My clients are not people that want to be full-time real estate business owners today. They have a means of generating income that is intended to be their primary means, and most of them don't want to get away from it. They make a couple $100,000 a year. Some of them do just want to spend the hell out of that money really fast, and then in 10 years have enough passive to go and take on a different endeavor. Maybe it's real estate, maybe it's something else. But for now, my clients are not trying to quit their job today. Next question. All right, badge buyer. Thank you for picking up badges, guys. I appreciate that. It pays for the whiskey, even though this was a gift for the client. If you have processes in place and you build out your infrastructure, when do you take the leap and quit your full-time job? When did you know is the right time? So my story is I'm temperamental, and I'm really conservative too. But as an employee, I'm very temperamental. I quit my full-time job on a Monday at 9 a.m. because my boss was the owner of the company. Company had grown. I joined as employee number 60. It became a 150 employee company within like a year and a half. Cheers to them. They ended up selling for $100 million a couple months after I left. Little tech company they sold to Fidelity. It was called Skyslope. And they hired a sales manager because they were growing and just needed to like pull themselves away from the business to prepare for marketability to be able to sell. And that sales manager was super micromanaging, pissed me off. And I just so happened to make $20,000 that month wholesaling, and like 10 the month before and 7 the month before that. And there were more leads in the pipeline. That was working like two hours a day, doing the little side hustle wholesale. So yeah, he pissed me off. He was micromanaging me. And I basically looked at him on like a Monday morning and I said, all right, bro, out of here. I was producing like a motherfucker too. I was in software sales. Before that, I was in biotech. Never paid me enough. That's why I got into this sales gig, because I knew I was going to get into real estate. I just wanted to make some more money. But yeah, this guy just kind of like pissed me off. I knew I was worth more at that point. I had made more that month than I would have made at the job. I was making like 10K a month from the job, and I made 20 wholesaling part-time. That's how I knew it was the right time. Now, should you have to make more than your, fuck Dotloop, dude. Dotloop sucks. Zillow owned. So should I, but they use Dotloop in Ohio a whole bunch. I think you're in Ohio. I think most places in Ohio, because Dotloop took over a lot of territory there. Should you wait till you have double your ordinary income from your side hustle to make it a full-time business? Probably not. It depends on the consistency. Now for me, I needed that extra consistency because one, I had a high-paying job that I could have earned more at pretty quickly. Two is wholesaling is kind of like a wave, right? So the next month after that, I made 20 that month, but the next month I think I made like 8. And then I had 1 month where I picked up a couple good deals, but I didn't wholesale anything or close anything. I made 0. And then in December I made like 60, right? So that was pretty fucking cool. So luckily it was a good choice and it worked out. But I wouldn't say you need to make that much more. It depends on the stability of your business model. And also your reserves, right? And your overhead, your cost of living. My cost of living was really, really low. But I've always been kind of like that. How did you transition from wholesaling to where we are now? You know what? We're still wholesaling. We just have multiple arms of the business, and we wholesale in different form. We wholesale with a white glove service, like a high quality, kind of turnkey level service, right? But a wholesale business model or transactional model, but not a wholesale product. It's a turnkey product in most situations. Sometimes it needs a little bit of work, but it's like not more than $7,000 per unit, and we usually bake into the price, give credits back, and have good managers and all that. So we've got an ecosystem for our investors. It's a hybrid wholesale turnkey model. It's exactly what our investors need, and it wasn't in place before. So we just built it a little bit better for them to fulfill a need that wasn't being fulfilled already. From that spun off the social media was meant to feed the wholesale business. Now it's self-sustaining. It generates, like I said, $500,000 a year if we're to trend back, right? And will continue to generate more. And then the rental property ownership business, we're acquiring as much equity in rental properties as we're generating in wholesale profits, right? It's kind of split between the two. So buying a lot of properties at deep discounts and then just going and starting to get financing finally. So that's going to be its own business. There's going to be a larger properties arm that require partnership and operations, syndication or funding, right? I think Reg D fund is probably going to be the approach that we take. That's going to be the next business. And then we have one more spin-off that comes from this wholesale process, and it's the marketplace. And I'm going to leave it at that. It's kind of a big vision, world breaker, tech company type idea that we would hope to build, drive a lot of like users to, just sellers and buyers as a platform, have a interesting model for pricing, make it kind of self-serve, and then maybe exit for $100 million at some point. That would be lovely, but that's probably like a 6, 7, 8 year idea. That's probably not going to happen. Like it's probably not going to be complete in the next year or two, but who knows, man? Big dreams. But what I say about goals, right? I mean, why the fuck do it if I'm just going to shoot for the same number next year as this year? Why not just double until I hit 40 and burn the fuck out? Pick up a whiskey habit, because now I only drink 1 a day. Maybe I'll bump it up to 8 or 9 a day, and then I'll have to leave this whole business and just make the social media account private, so you guys have to request to join. Where to go to soak up as much good info about the industry as fast as possible? Everywhere. You've got to find the message that resonates with you and the direction that you want to take. My page speaks to a very niche set of topics, right? Some of them broader, but a lot of them kind of direct you towards my biases and my experiences, right? The things that I do on a day-to-day, and why would I talk to you about things that I don't understand or don't do and don't engage? And I want to share my journey and my expertise. If you like what I'm saying, watch my IGTVs. You'll learn a lot. Watch them until you don't like what I'm saying, and then go find another resource on top of that, and kind of like, go ahead and like, it's like a dichotomy, right? Try a bunch of different options and pick the one you like each time and see where it leads you at the end after you make 100 micro decisions of how you want to learn about this business. Am I still looking for investors to work with? We're always taking new investors. We do have a cap in our investor list. It's at the cap, but we're currently cycling people out as new investors who seem really serious come in. Temperament is the biggest thing for us, and someone's got to have a minimum of $150K to actually invest with us and be looking to invest $100K of their allocation over some period of time, a year or something like that, right? Because we don't want to like put in all those early dates just for somebody that just wants to go on a couple dates. All right, we want the relationship. If the first deal is too much money, does that throw off investing going forward? Do you mean for us or for you in general? Oh, debt to income. Yeah, I mean, you got to project that out, right? Like you got to, and if I were you, I'd take the commercial route first and watch my my commercial lending video from last week. It's the IGTV video. If you got some time, morning coffee, take some notes. It was a really good one. They look at global cash flow and not debt to income ratio. It's calculated a bit differently. And theoretically, if you buy strongly cash flowing properties and your income and expenses don't change too much, then your global cash flow should stay preserved above the requirement. But they're going to want to see performance at some point, right? So short answer, yes. You overinvest up front, you affect your ability to buy properties in the future, for sure. What rate of return am I giving my investors? Well, it's not a fund or syndication, right? So it's not like an IRR or a preferred that we're guaranteeing on these deals. They're directly purchasing properties from us. We sell properties, variety of products, ranging from C class to like B plus class, from like a 6.5 cap all the way up to like a 10.5 cap, right? Now we've got an affiliate lender that really hooks them up on rate, so they get like a 275. So that 6.5 cap translates to like a 10% cash on cash return plus all the other sources of returns. The 10.5 cap translates to like a 30% cash on cash return for them. And that is with some relatively conservative expense estimates and credits and things like that. So that's our general product. Deal funnels coming from direct to seller and relationship driven marketing and acquisitions efforts. We go 100% off market for everything. We source our own deals. Possible to schedule an appointment personally with me. Guys, I'm so sorry, I don't do consulting. I got an offer 2 weeks ago and I felt bad. I should have responded to the guy, but I just saw it in like a pile of DM requests. This guy said, I think he said he'd pay me. He was gonna drive up to Sacramento and he wanted to have lunch with me for an hour. He said he'd pay me $500 and bring me a bottle of Red Spot, which is like a $250 bottle of whiskey, which is a nice bottle of whiskey for sure. It's a good chunk of money, but there's boundaries, right? I won't do the consulting meetings. I don't think for any price, because if someone offered me $2,000 for an hour of my time, it would be worth my time, certainly at that point. But it doesn't fit into my current business model, and I've got like the growth to handle that'll get me more than that at some point in the future. So no consulting calls, but I'm thinking about you guys, right? So I'm making these lives and I'm answering questions and going in depth into topics that you're likely to ask me in a consulting session. So dig into those IGTV videos. You're gonna get out of them what you probably would have gotten out of a very expensive call or lunch or whatever with me for free, right? And then I am working on like a full-on course that's a little more stepwise and process-oriented, like 20 hours of video, right? Probably, I don't know, $500, $1,000, depends on what the product ends up being. To be an investor client, you're welcome to just join the list in the link in bio. If you meet the qualifications, we'll put you on the distribution list, and then we'll let you sign up for properties. After you've seen a couple and you've expressed interest, then you can reach back out and we'll schedule a call. Of course, that comes at no cost. If it's someone that we want to work with as a client, you want to work with us, right? Let's see. How do you calculate cap rate? Do you start from market value? Or do you pay to have it from website directly? I don't know what you mean by the website. So we calculate cap rates in the current situation and then in a stabilized situation. We calculate it at the price that we're purchasing it at, our all-in cost, and then we calculate it again at its market value down the road to understand exactly how much like equity upside we have if we're stabilizing a property, right? If it's not already stable. So use your current rents and current expenses. Use pro forma stabilized rents and expenses, the point that you think you can get it to once it's all dialed in. And then go, what can I sell this for once it's stabilized? What cap rate will the market pay for it now that I boosted it and made it nice? And then see what price that ends up being at, right? Thank you guys for the request for the course, because you've kind of pushed me to go ahead and make the course for you. Should small and new investors self-manage their properties? I'm gonna say no, right? There's gonna be a million arguments about how the other managers just don't do it as well. But think about this. I've got a story for you. We actually have a relationship with a business owner whose business was generating $14 million a year of net profits. Big business, right? I won't go any further into detail because he might be identifiable. And he took his business and pulled himself out of it. Now he had to push it uphill with his employees, with himself involved, to get it up to the $14 million in net annually, right? And then when he got to that point, he had stabilized it and put the right pieces in place so that he could pull himself out. Now, once he pulled himself out, it only generated $9 million in net profits. However, since he was no longer required the business was now viable and franchisable for sale. So it received a significantly higher valuation and a $9 million profit with him out of it than it did at a $14 million profit with him into it. Now, it's just a metaphor, right? I know it's not managing a rental property, but it speaks to the value of being able to remove yourself so that you could develop something that is going to be of a much higher value later. And that's that point number 8, right? What is the future value of today's behaviors? That's what I say about property management. Obviously, you can make all kinds of arguments to rationalize today's value of self-managing, but what's the future value of those behaviors? Really think about it. And answer that question. So he wasn't unclogging toilets. No, he wasn't scrubbing them with a toothbrush either. I hope none of us are doing that here on this live. How do you determine if an area is CBA? It's completely arbitrary. I make it up. I look at the area. I look at my understanding of the market. I look at what median rents are for the county or for the region, and then where this area falls above or below the median rents. I look at crime, and more importantly than anything, I look at turnover rate. Do tenants move in, pay, and stay? But really it's about like market value and market rent as a comparable, and cap rate, right? In comparison, where on the spectrum does that fall in for the whole region, right? If this property is a 10 cap area, but the median for the region, which I would call the median maybe a B minus neighborhood, right? Or a B neighborhood. If the median for a region is a 7 cap, and then an A neighborhood is like a 5 cap, and this is a 10, it's probably C minus or C, right? Flat C probably. A C plus might be an 8 cap product, 8.5 cap product, and a B is a 7 cap product. So look at where it falls in the yield spectrum, the median rent spectrum, and the median value per unit or per single family home per square foot spectrum, right? How do I calculate value on an ADU? I don't really know because I've never actually developed an ADU, so I don't want to go in there and like speak to something I don't really understand. I'm sure they're going to look for comparables, right? Appraisers look for comparables, especially if ADUs are generally in highly residential properties. Then like you're going to get a residential valuation more often than not a commercial valuation on this property. Residential valuation takes into consideration income to some degree, but they want to find real comps, so they'll look for something else of similar size with a similarly sized ADU with a similar configuration that sold recently or appraised recently, and they'll be able to give you some data on that. What's my markup? I don't mark up. I buy at a discount from market value, right? So I'm going to sell the property for what it's worth, depending on its condition, tenants, its income and expenses. I'm going to look at all those things and say, I don't have an OnlyFans. I make too much money for that nonsense. I'm a C plus neighborhood guy, C plus, B minus, but I'm buying more B plus lately, just at deeper equity positions, and I like where it fits into my portfolio just for the sake of like diversity, and it allows me to spend more money faster. But anyways, we had another question here. Man, there was a really good one. You guys distracted me with the silly stuff. C neighborhoods work, B neighborhoods work, A neighborhoods work. Depends on the market. No, A neighborhoods don't work. Any tips you could provide in regards to who to market to for a single family besides the usual PropStream niche filters? I don't use PropStream for data. I like my data for marketing extremely unfiltered. I focus on the product. That's it. Does the product fit my profile? I'm not that worried about like the motivated or distressed seller. I want the right product that has a high likelihood of making me money, period. And then I go for everybody that owns that product. That's it. But I have a very, very unique business model, right? That approach may not work with you at all, which is why we're successful at it, because we're going up against wholesalers who our approach doesn't work for, so we don't have to compete with them on a product that usually doesn't fit in their pipeline. And that's that product innovation piece that I talked about earlier, right, guys? I got one more question for you, so go ahead and hit me with a good one, a really good one, and we'll talk. Because I'm fucking hungry. I want to eat my lunch. You guys paid for lunch too with the badges. Thank you. Come on, y'all. Give me a good one, or I'm gonna scroll up and just go ahead and get you some more information here from a past question. All right, fine. Let me just grab an old question. Let's see. How many properties do I have at the time? 56 doors currently in escrow for 9 plus 4 more. Right now, hopefully a lot more soon. We got a 36 unit in Louisville that came into our pipeline today for $2 million in a pure B neighborhood. We're gonna buy the fuck out of that property. Am I cussing too much, by the way? I don't know why I just asked that question. I don't really care. I'm gonna keep doing it. Did I start looking through Zillow or talking to realtors? I started with a realtor. We actually flew out to Indiana, met with him, took a red eye, met with him, sleepy as shit. They could tell we're serious. He committed to finding us a pocket listing. Really cool guy. Got us a pocket listing. It was a pretty good deal. He actually helped us manage the rehab. It was great training wheels, right? And then we said we need to find off-market deals to get better prices. So we started marketing directly to seller immediately after our first deal. Deals got way better after that. Wouldn't have had a business if it wasn't for that, to be honest with you. And that's gonna be all, y'all. I gotta let you go. There's tons of other questions, I understand. Throw them in the comments of this live over the weekend. Watch it over the weekend, take some notes if you're here. I'm gonna respond to these comments. Thank you very much, y'all, for joining. This was a really fun live. Cheers. Hey, treat investing in real estate like a business. It'll get you way better results. Have a good weekend.